Refilwe, welcome back. It's now time for stanza 2. If we have a look at line 4, we see that it says the burly bureaucrat was surprised. So first we have to understand what a bureaucrat is. It's a government official. So what we can associate that with is a lot of rules, a lot of red tape. You might have heard the term bureaucracy before. Coming from the French word bureau, which means actually a desk. Okay, and so it's someone who works in an office and is involved with government work. So if you've ever been to Home Affairs, I don't know if you're old enough yet, probably not. You're not old enough to get your ID books yet, but maybe passports. You will see people behind the counters stamping, filling in forms, all of that kind of work. Well, those are bureaucrats. Okay, so we see that this one is described as being burly. Burly means large or strong. So if there's a large, strong guy behind a counter, we can assume that we would be quite intimidated by that person. Okay, and the speaker sees this person and has all kinds of thoughts because she is now having to explain her name, and we're going to see what he's going to make her do. Okay, but before that, we see his initial reaction is that he's surprised. Okay, it's not something that he hears often, or perhaps it's not something that he can that he recognizes. And then the second line explains this a little bit more, goes into more detail. In line 5, it says what he heard. Okay, so her name, that's what he just heard, was music to his ears. This is a very interesting phrase. Typically, when you hear something that is music to your ears, it means that you are pleased to hear about something. For example, school's closed for 5 weeks. Yay, that is music to our ears. We are happy and glad to hear it. Now, why would this burly bureaucrat be happy to hear this name? Okay, thinking about, remember, he's big, he's large, he's intimidating. We're during apartheid. He has the power to change her name. And he says this in Afrikaans. Note, not in English or in isiXhosa, which is the language that she is speaking. He says in Afrikaans, wat is daai sê nou weer, which means basically, what is that? Okay, what is that? Say, it should have a copy on top. Say now again. So that's the direct translation. So say it again. So he's asking her to repeat. But he's not doing it in a very polite way. He's not saying, ach, asseblief toch, my liefie, or anything like that, okay? He's saying, wat is daai sê nou weer? Okay? So, there's a contradiction here in terms of we have what could be associated with positivity and surprise, with music to his ears, and then he sort of barks this. Wat is daai sê nou weer? So he's asking her to repeat it in an impolite way. Getting the sense then that it's not such music to his ears if that is what he says. If something really was music to his ears, he'd ask her in a nice way. Wow, what a lovely name. That's beautiful. How do you spell it? What does it mean? That would be music to his ears. This name is not music to his ears in the traditional sense. We're going to find out why he's pleased to hear about her name. Now she replies. She says, I am from Chief Daluxolo of Emma Podweni. So this, saying that she's from a chief, means that she comes from a long line of royalty. You would know that African people in South Africa and consist of many different tribes with chiefs and kings. Okay, so she's from an important family lineage, and she says it. She says the full name, Daluxolo via, and then she says from where. And this is Emma Podweni, okay, which is in the Eastern Cape. So the place, you'll find the Amampondo people, okay. This is a Xhosa related tribe. It's in Nguni language, so it's similar to Sindebele, isiZulu, okay. And the Amapondo are calling for their language to be recognized as the 12th official language of South Africa. So right now, this is not an official language, but they definitely are a group of people with a strong tradition and strong heritage. And I'm going to post some clips onto my YouTube channel, onto the Teams, to show you about where the Amapondo come from and their dances, etc. Okay, so she says where she's from, showing that she's got a history. Okay, she's not just someone random. Okay, and then she repeats her name again. My name is Nomgqibelo Nkamisile Mankibisa. So she says it again clearly, and look what language she's speaking in here. He asks her in Afrikaans. But how does she reply? Not in Afrikaans. Okay, she replies in English. Generally, if somebody asks you something in that language, you kind of reply in that language. Okay, but here what she is doing is she's replying in English. English at the time was seen as more of a language of defiance, even though the British had colonized the country for hundreds of years. At this point in time, or the Union of South Africa had happened just before apartheid, and then when apartheid came in, Afrikaans was seen as the language of the oppressor, whereas English was seen as a language going against Afrikaans, probably because of the history between Afrikaans and English-speaking people with all the wars, Anglo-Boer War. You remember from your study of Herman Charles Bosman, we spoke about the tension between the Afrikaans and English. So it's kind of like being friends with your enemy's enemy kind of idea. English was seen as more of a language of rebellion. Okay, so she answers him in this language. Okay, which is already showing defiance. And then she repeats it again. Okay, it's her full name, just like the full name of the chief, showing that she's very, very proud of her heritage and who she is. And she wants this man to know what her name is.